What's going on, guys? I'm going to bring you guys my first 2021 NFL mock draft. I'm not going to waste any time. Just going to get right into it. First overall, Trevor Lawrence shouldn't really be up for debate. And if I'm part of the Jaguars management, it definitely is not up for debate. I'm going with Trevor Lawrence, and that's final. Um, Number two, this is where it could, go a different couple directions. In my opinion, it's Zach Wilson here. Sam Darnold is not your long term option there. And I think Zach Wilson's upside and playmaking ability is just too good to really pass up on. I think if they were to keep Sam Darnold, you could look at Penei Sewell, um, Rashawn Slater, any of those guys. But I think Zach Wilson is just that's the move here. Number three, the Dolphins. Now they could go with somebody like Devontae Smith and pair him with his teammate in Tua or ex teammate in Tua Tagovailoa, but I think you could get a pretty good receiver later in the draft and pick up somebody like Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater here. And I think that's too good to pass up. You need to protect Tua, and somebody like Penei Sewell, it has to be done, in my opinion. And that's what I'm going to do. So Penei Sewell, number three to the Dolphins. Number four, actually, I think the Falcons can do a lot more here than people want to think. I think. And the first option here is, the obvious one, Justin Fields. Matt Ryan isn't the answer anymore. And you could let Fields develop on the bench as Matt Ryan plays one more year, and then you insert Fields in 2022, is it? And that's a pretty scary offense, in my opinion. You could also go a couple other directions. You could go Micah Parsons. You could go corner and pick up somebody like Caleb Farley, Patrick Surtain. You could really do a lot if you're the Atlanta Falcons, and I just believe the best option long term is to get your potential franchise guy, and that's Justin Fields. Number five, Cincinnati Bengals. We saw what happened to Joe Burrow last season, and you really hate to see it. And if you want to make sure that does not happen again, you get somebody, in my opinion, the most day one ready offensive lineman in the draft, and that's Rashawn Slater. I think his tape speaks for itself if you just watch him play versus Ohio State and watch how he played against Chase Young. If you could get that out of him in the NFL, Cincinnati is definitely an upward trending team. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And Rashawn Slater is going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals. Number six, my Eagles. As you can see, got the jersey in the back here. I think if you're the Eagles, similar to the Falcons, there is a lot you can do. In my opinion, there are obvious options. I think you could go receiver, which I think is the best idea. You could go Kyle Pitts. You could go Surtain. You know, we love our edge rushers. You could even go somebody like Kwity Paye. I don't know if I said it, but you could go Micah Parsons. Really, you could do a lot of different things. You could go linemen if you wanted to reach. I know Rashawn Slater and Penei Sewell are both off the board right now. But you could, I guess, reach or trade down for another lineman on the board. Heck, there's a lot of Carson Wentz rumors going around right now, and it looks more and more likely that he will not be a Philadelphia Eagle next year. And I mean, I don't think they would do this, but if you don't think Jalen Hurts is your guy from what you saw last season, you could go with somebody, like Trey Lance. I wouldn't want that as an Eagles fan. Don't get me started. So to just simplify it, I'm going to go Jamar Chase. If you were going to say any one of these top three receivers or the number one receiver in the class, it would probably be Jamar. He's a surefire X receiver, and he's going to make plays for Carson Wentz if he's still here, for Jalen Hurts, assuming he'd be the starter should Carson leave. Devontae Smith, can't go wrong with him. He's going to create separation. He's going to catch it. You could even go Jalen Waddle. I think you're going to have too many Jalen's on the team if you do that. Plus, I think play style and fit wise, he's a little too similar to Rager, and the jury's still out on Rager, so I don't think it would be a good idea to basically get your Rager replacement. So I think Ja'Marr Chase is really the move here. I don't really know if Kyle Pitts is the move. He's more of a receiver than a tight end, but I think I would probably prefer Ja'Marr Chase anyways. Lions at 7, Devontae Smith. You traded Matt Stafford and got Jared Goff. And I have no questions in my mind about whether or not the Lions are going to at least give Goff a try. And if you're going to give Jared Goff a try, you might as well give him a solid target. Devontae Smith is probably one of my favorite players in the draft. Just, good player. And it's unlikely that the Lions are going to want to pay Golladay. So this gives, Jared Goff a really good target to go towards, basically for as long as he's with the Lions and for whoever's the next quarterback of the Lions. Number 7, Carolina. Now, for the sake of this draft, I'm not doing trades. If you haven't realized that already, I'm not going to be doing trades. Now, if Carolina were to take a quarterback, I think they would trade up. I do not think they would stay at 8. So, for the sake of this draft, I'm going to have them taking Micah Parsons. He's not really talked about enough, I feel like, in this draft class, just due to some off-the-field issues. He opted out of this past season, so people don't really view him as a really enticing option, I feel like. But, I mean, like I said, teams like the Falcons, the Eagles, they could have gone for him. And he can be a sideline-to-sideline guy. He can rush off the edge. It doesn't matter. He's going to be a game changer. And I think that's what you want to really bolster that Carolina defense in a way, maybe not to the same level, but in a way that Luke Kuechly did. So Denver at 9. I don't think it's time for them to move on from Drew Lock yet and take somebody like Trey Lance. I don't know that they would go Jalen Waddle. They could. But I think the obvious move is taking a corner here. And the two, primary options here are Patrick Surtain and Caleb Farley. I think Caleb Farley offers, it's close. It's really close. But I think Farley's speed and ball hawking ability and just ball skills in general are, too enticing for the Denver Broncos. He's a transition from a receiver at Virginia Tech as a freshman. So, he has to have some sort of ball skills. Obviously not top of the top if, he's getting converted to a corner, but definitely an enticing prospect. And I think that's who they go with. But, I mean, honestly, you can't go wrong. Patrick Surtain, Caleb Farley, both of them are going to be, great man corners, and you can't really go wrong. Now, Dallas Cowboys at 10, I think, like I said, Surtain could definitely go to the Broncos, but I think he's going to fall to the Cowboys here, who could use an offensive lineman, but I think they do go Surtain here. Have the chance to pair Trevon Diggs and Surtain, the two Alabama teammates, and I think that's a pretty interesting duo going forward, and really for the near and far future. And as an Eagles fan, that's not something I really look forward to. But I will say, if this is how it goes and the Cowboys take Patrick Surtain here, the Ja'Marr Chase Surtain, battle over the, next decade, could really be interesting. And now to the Giants at 11, another NFC East rival. Um, this is not something I want to see because I'm pretty high on this player. But Jalen Waddle, he's an absolute home run hitter. He has the potential to really make any of these teams in this general area, really from 3 up. I think he has ability and the potential to make you regret not taking him, um, especially like a few years down the line, similar to the way I bet a lot of teams regret not taking Tyreek Hill. But if you're gonna double down on Danny Dimes, the man who trips when he has an open touchdown, uh, then it has to be the pick. You could also maybe go Kyle Pitts. I mean, he's basically the same thing as Evan Ingram, so it really doesn't make sense to me personally. Um, but yeah, I think that is definitely the move here. I think the Eagles, like I said, could have gone for uh, Jalen Waddle, and honestly, personally, I wouldn't have minded that had last year we taken Justin Jefferson. But I'm not a Jalen Rager hater yet. I still believe he could really be something special with us, and I think pairing him with Jamar Chase, I'm okay with that. So I'm not going to be too upset about not taking Jalen Waddle. But now to San Francisco at 12. I mean, do you really think the 49ers should Trey Lance fall here? Which honestly, I don't think he does. But should he fall to number 12? I don't think you pass on it. Garoppolo really isn't going to be that future player, that Super Bowl winning quarterback. And I think Trey Lance can really transform that offense into something very dynamic. Um, you have George Kittle, you have Brandon Ayuk, uh, Debo Samuel, like so many dynamic players. You're just missing that, your quarterback. And no offense to Jimmy G, but I just don't think that's that's it for the 49ers, if that makes sense. Um, Number 13, we're going to go with, I'm scrolling all over the place here. We're going to go with Christian Darrisaw. Uh, he's improved really every year at Virginia Tech, and he probably should keep improving. He can play both tackle positions day one, and with Justin Herbert, you don't want something like what happened with Joe Burrow, happening to you and Justin Herbert. It's not something obviously you want to happen to your franchise guy. Um, I think if they weren't to go tackle here or offensive line at all, I think Kyle Pitts would be a really interesting option. Um, and I think if you weren't going to go offensive tackle, the only option is Kyle Pitts. Um, but I think it has to be Christian Darrisaw or best lineman on the board, and that's Christian Darrisaw to me. Number 14, the Minnesota Vikings. I think you have to. There's one pick for me, and that's Elijah Vera Tucker. Um, a lot of versatility he offers. He could have gone to the Chargers, honestly, but they elected to go Darisaw. It really depends on who they see as the better player. Um, but I think for the Vikings, Vera Tucker is honestly the better player, so it works out for them. He's probably going to be a guard at in the NFL, but he does have tackle versatility, which is you know very nice to have, especially if you're the Vikings. Um, and he's really going to help out Dalvin Cook, who I think is a phenomenal running back. And when you help out Dalvin Cook, that helps out Kirk Cousins, and kind of alleviates the pressure that may usually be on him. So really taking Elijah Vera Tucker, everybody wins in Minnesota. And that brings us to 15, the New England Patriots. And again, I think there's only one option here with this man still on the board, and it has to be Kyle Pitts. I really shouldn't have had to even say who the Pats were drafting since he was still on the board. But really, he should have been off the board a long time ago. And had he called himself a receiver, he probably would have been. But Mac Jones is also on the table here. I think Belichick will probably draft, Joe Schmo in the 7th round, and him and Pitts will lead the Pats to the playoffs. But I think if the top 3 receivers are off the board and Pitts is off the board, you could maybe go somebody like Kadarius Toney. I'll get to him later, but I think he could be an interesting piece for that Patriots offense. And that's just what they desperately need. They need a playmaker. They didn't have that last year, and I think that's what Kyle Pitts offers them. Carolina at 16. Now, Arizona. A lot of people are saying J.C. Horn, and I get that. But I think what they do here is they take best player available, and that's Kwity Paye. He's really viewed by most as the best edge rusher in the draft due to his freaky athleticism. And it's kind of unfair for a guy his size. And like I said, J.C. Horn, it's possible. But I think the value you get for Paye at number 16 is really too good to pass up on, because I think Paye is another guy who could go higher. If this top 15 wasn't so absolutely loaded with talent, Paye definitely would have been up there. Now 17, the almost said Oakland, but the Las Vegas Raiders. This might be unpopular opinion. I don't think so, but it might be. They go Gregory Rousseau here. I think if Kwity Paye is still on the board, if J.C. Horn goes here, I think Kwity Paye is the move for the Raiders. But Gregory Rousseau is the move here. And I think had Rousseau not opted out this past season due to COVID and stuff, he could have been in the conversation, and really he still is, as the number 1 edge rusher in the class. Because in terms of freaky athleticism, Rousseau is neck and neck with Kwity Paye. And he's a very raw player as an edge rusher, which provides great potential. But the Raiders aren't, in my opinion, really a win now team anyways. So it gives Rousseau some time until they decide to get rid of Derek Carr and draft their future, or trade or sign their future quarterback. And now that brings us to 18. And so you have Tua. You drafted Penei Sewell with your 3rd pick. Now, you need to give him weapons. And you have somebody like Rashad Bateman. You have Terrence Marshall Jr. But I think the move here is Kadarius Toney. If you watch the Senior Bowl, any of the drills he ran, I spoke a little bit about him with the Pats, because I truly do think he could go that high. He's an elite separator. And in terms of like after the catch ability, it spells disaster for opposing defenses. And you pair him, like I said, with Penei Sewell and Tua, and then it really becomes a dangerous offense in just overnight, basically, in the draft. There are some worries about drop issues at the Senior Bowl. That doesn't necessarily worry me. It really wasn't a big issue during the season. I think the separation he created, you can't find that often. So I think the Dolphins get an absolute stud in Kadarius Toney. 19, the Washington football team. I was kind of on the fence here between a couple different options. Sam Cosmi being one of them. I think if you go out and get somebody like Cam Newton, Sam Cosmi is definitely the move here. Um, but assuming they don't go after Cam Newton, I think the only option here is Mac Jones. Um, you know, there's really no other quarterback options that you're going to want to draft at 19. Um, and I think Mac Jones really improved his stock recently. And I just don't see them passing up on the option to take Mac Jones should he fall to 19 and somebody like the Pats, decide to pass on him. Additionally, if they decide to pass on Mac Jones uh, and Sam Cosmi, they could go somebody like Rashad Bateman, a good dynamic player to be opposite of Scary Terry. But for the sake of this mock draft, Mac Jones is the pick. 20, Chicago Bears. If Mac Jones doesn't go to Washington, he'll go here, I believe. But I'm going to assume he's gone at this point. Obviously, I gave him to Washington, and I think they take Cosmi. I think this allows the Trubisky experiment to continue, which may not make Chicago fans happy. But Cosmi's a day one starter, and he's going to protect, anybody who lines up under center. He's pretty athletic for his size. I think in terms of NFL readiness, he needs to put on some weight to just kind of get stronger. And then he could really be a dangerous tackle option. But he immediately gives Trubisky some protection to pass the ball, which, it's Trubisky. He's going to need it. Now at 21, this is going to be probably there's probably been some unpopular opinions here. I'm not going to lie. And nobody's going to agree with me on every pick. That's just the way it goes, right? But if there was one pick that people were not going to be happy with, it's this one. And that's because I'm going with a corner, and you might say, okay, J.C. Horn's still on the board. No, that's not who I'm going with. Ifeatu Melifonwu is who I'm going with. I might be high on him because he's from Mass, and that's, I'm a Mass native myself. But I think at 6'3", he has one of the highest ceiling to floor sizes. He has one of the higher ceilings and the lower floors. But his athletic ability at 6'3" is really enticing for a corner in the NFL. He has the ability to just flip his hips effortlessly, basically, and he has elite ball skills to go along with that, and you can really play him in a lot of different areas. He could be a safety if you wanted him to, but really he just gives the Colts a lot of potential here. And I if you go JC Horn, I get it, and I'm on board with that. That's a good pick, but for the sake of being like that, I'm going Melifonwu here. I look forward to hearing all the hate I get for that pick, but he can really be I think a lockdown corner in the NFL, and that's why I picked him there. 22, Tennessee Titans. I think Joseph Osai is really I don't know. It's a pretty easy pick in my opinion. I don't think they bring back Jadeveon Clowney. I just don't. It's a good experiment, but he just didn't produce enough for you to pay him the money that he's going to want. And Osai he's a good long edge rusher. He's, I think, 6'4". And he's really going to just give you his all every play. And I think that is what you want. That's one of the most, the biggest intangibles, really, is just somebody who isn't going to take any plays off, and he's just going to, go out there and do his job and do it to the best of his ability. And with that being said, to the best of his ability has lots of room to improve. He's another raw player, and he could go a lot higher than 22. So I think that's why if he's available for the Titans here, it's an easy pick. Now 23, the Jets. You got Zach Wilson. Two overall, and similar to what Miami did with Tua. Obviously, Tua was last year, but you're gonna go and get him some protection. And I think Jalen Mayfield, best tackle on the board right now, is definitely the option. I mean, it's a must to protect Zach Wilson. Um, and if you're gonna pass on a guy like Panay Sewell, if you were to keep Sam Darnold, um, you're gonna have to get a tackle, I think. Um, and Mayfield is, I think, good for that spot. You can move Mekhi Becton over to the other side, and Mekhi Becton can cover Zach Wilson's blind side. Um, and that will allow Mayfield to play on the right side, which I think he's a little bit more comfortable with. Um, and I think everybody's happy at that point. You have two potentially great tackle options for the future and a potential franchise changing quarterback. And the Jets are, it's weird to say, but I'm a little excited to watch the Jets next year if this is how their draft goes. 24. I think, I don't think James Conner is it. And I think Najee Harris is going to be the first running back off the board. I think him and Travis Etienne are both good options. I think for Pittsburgh, though, I think Najee is definitely the move. Um, his play speaks for itself. He's a freak athlete, and he can be a three down back for the Steelers with his ability to catch out of the backfield. Um, and most importantly, we add a new competitor to the NFL's quad muscle competition. Saquon, Nick Chubb are going to have some trouble with Najee Harris's quads. Number 25. I think that's going to be an offensive lineman. Again, similar to what the Jets are doing. You drafted your franchise quarterback. You have to draft somebody to protect him. And I think you could go Tevin Jenkins here, but I think Liam Eichenberg is the better day one pick. And he can, hop right in week one and be a difference maker for Trevor Lawrence. And now we just have another potential elite. I'm not going to say elite yet because, we don't know how he's going to be in the NFL yet, but another potential elite offensive lineman coming from Notre Dame. You got your Quentin Nelson, you got your Zach Martin, you got your Mike McGlinchey, and he can be solid right out of the gates. So I think that's really important if you're the Jags, and you got to protect Trevor. 26. I think you go and you look at the board, and Travis Etienne, don't need that. Who's next available? Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And I don't think he should be here at this point, but he's going to be in this draft. And it's going to be back-to-back Notre Dame guys here. And I honestly think Owusu-Koramoah is a little baby Micah Parsons to me. And it gives Cleveland a heck of a player, dynamic player to immediately bolster that defense, because he can really do everything in Cleveland. He's similar to like a Jamal Adams style player. You can rush him off the edge. He can cover sideline to sideline. He's really like a linebacker safety hybrid due to his a little bit smaller size compared to most linebackers. But it's a very exciting pick if I'm Cleveland, and I don't pass up on that. 27. I think you look at the draft board here, don't need running back, don't need corner, and I think with Lamar Jackson, you have to get him a true potential number one target, and that's Rashad Bateman. He's 6'2", but his catch radius is a lot bigger than that. He has great hands, and he'll catch whatever Lamar will throw his way. Really, good route runner, okay release, good blocking, which bodes well for that Baltimore style offense. So I think that's an easy pick if he's on the board at 27 for the Ravens. At 28. this is where J.C. Horn's fall stops. Um, I don't think the Saints wait, or I don't think the Saints pass, and I don't think they wait another second to draft him. He has good ball skills. He can play on the outside. He's, I think, 6'1". I think really the only thing holding him back is his speed. I think he can get burned by some of the quicker guys in the league. Um, but he's a physical. He's going to press you at the line of scrimmage, and he's pretty solid. And if you're going to get him at 28, uh, you can't go wrong there. 29, Green Bay Packers. I think there's a couple options here. I think if Aaron Jones leaves, I think Travis Etienne is an option. I think Zaven Collins is an option, Terrence Marshall. But I think in terms of Aaron Rodgers, I think Rondale Moore is the move here. This gives an immediate spark to the Green Bay offense that really has enough sparks to begin with. He has 4.3 speed and absolute burners, and if you pair that with Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, it's really a terrifying offense. And the after the catch ability of Moore, it's really it's just too good to pass up on if you're Green Bay. Some injury concerns and questionable hands kind of dropping him this far, but if it weren't for those two things, I think he could be going a lot higher. But I think it's another steal along with somebody like J.C. Horn. Just two really, really good picks right here. At 30, the Buffalo Bills. I think if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I don't think Devin Singletary is long term, and I think that leads me to pick Travis Etienne. He's a modern running back, elite speed, and it's just a no-brainer to me if you move on from Devin Singletary. It adds another dynamic piece to the offense that has Stephon Diggs already. That Josh Allen's blow-up season. And if I were a Bills fan and this was our pick, I would be very happy with that. That leads us to 31, the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think here, man, I mean, it's a pretty stacked roster. There's not a lot of spots to improve on. I think, obvious QB could be one, but you're not going to draft Kyle Trask here. You're not going to draft him at 31. Mac Jones is off the board. So I don't think quarterback is an option at this point. But what you could use is an edge rusher, and I think Jalen Phillips is going to be that for you. Really, it's one of the things I think that could make Tampa's defense even scarier than it already is. He can play anywhere on the defensive line, and versatility is always a really big aspect to anybody's game. And due to that versatility, he could go a lot higher, but I have him falling here to 31 in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At 32, last pick of the first round and last pick of this mock draft, I'm going to have the Kansas City Chiefs picking up linebacker Zaven Collins, who's another guy who I believe could go a lot higher. And he's just a great off-the-ball linebacker, great size. I think he's like 6'4". Let me see. Yeah, 6'4", 260. He can play in coverage. He can blitz at a crazy high level. And he just gives the Chiefs a great tool in that defense that hopefully can help them match their offense a little bit. So here's the entire draft. I'll scroll through for you guys. There's 1 to 10, 11 to 20, and then 21 to 32. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys have any thoughts, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I'll probably be able to read them all. I don't get a lot of views, but yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.